Hello, everybody. I'm Jessie Raspiller, and we're back for another teacher feature. We have Maxwell Miller joining us for our yoga off the mat this month for October. So welcome, Maxwell.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
So glad to have you. So Maxwell just joined our team. He just hit his 1-year anniversary with us. Him and Matt joined us last September for our yoga on the sand classes week after week down at Salomar. But Maxwell and I's journey goes way back to when I first moved to Ventura about a decade ago. He was one of the first teachers that I got to meet and practice with in this town. And so it was very beautiful and serendipitous when everything came full circle and he got to join the Yoga in the Wild team last year. So let's dive in with that. So when I first met you, I think you were kind of just moving to Ventura too, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And what brought you out here from Florida?
I started surfing in Florida when I was started really getting into it when I was like 18 or 19. And then when I finished college, I knew I wanted to live somewhere where there was a lot of surf, because it was like I was just driving to the ocean every week from the school I was going to. And I just knew that I needed to be somewhere close to the waves just to kind of like be able to feel the balance between like the rat race and then nature, and just being able to like just jump in the water and like relax. I just knew that I needed that in my life, like full time.
Which is one of my favorite memories of you. I told my mom when I first moved here, I was like, I feel like I'm officially a beach bum. I said I go to yoga and I swear my teachers just come off the water. And I like always got such a kick out of that. And there was part of that even then, when I was practicing with you over at Yoga Jones, that it was this draw of like, I'm gonna have to get in the water someday. And so of course, fast forward several years later, you're the one that really finally gave me that push to get in the water last year. So what came first for you? Was it yoga or surfing?
It was, I think it was surfing really, but they were kind of simultaneous, because when I first started surfing, I felt like I wasn't I was like really anxious to get super good, and then or to progress at least. And I had an older brother who was doing yoga, and I had kind of heard about it through him. And so I got a DVD. It was a Rodney Yee video actually. And then I was just doing that I was like, just like until the DVD was like done in my bed. And so like I didn't go to any classes for like a year, I think, before and I was just doing tons of yoga in my bedroom.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, and actually that's an interesting, because I feel like so many people from like our generation and probably just before, that's how I feel like so many people safely got introduced into yoga. I mean, because there is this shell, we talk about this all the time at pop-up yoga, like there's this barrier to entry, and for me, in the space that we hold out in nature, it always feels like we've been able to remove that obstacle. And I'm now looking back, I'm like, that's a funny like thing that I've never put together, that was probably a big obstacle remover for a lot of people in the past, was bringing yoga into their homes, which I guess then is what we kind of did a lot of last year too, for people of being able to like just safely introduce it to them. And you and I have talked a lot about how the elements of nature completely change the practice of yoga, and then even just the projection of them out on the water. But you've shared with me time and time again how much your practice and teaching has changed just by being out in that nature element.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, having birds flying overhead when we're like in some sort of inversion and then like looking up toward the sky, it's just so whoa, you're here, like you're alive. Like you exist. And instead of being so like wrapped up in like I think the discipline side of my personality is really like can become very like maybe like emphasized. And so like when I'm just out in nature and on the sand, it just kind of like dissolves a little bit with the wind and with the sound of the ocean. And it's less about, I'm less in my own head and like less like in this like perfection mindset, and more just in the moment and feeling like all of the sensations of nature really pull my consciousness just into the now. And I really, yeah, it's really special for me too. I feel like I belong out there.
Yeah. Well, and the sand was funny. We hosted our most recent surf retreat this past weekend, and after we broke from you teaching and I took over the breakout group, I was laughing because we also had Brianne recording for us video, so it was a lot of factors going on, and I jokingly said to everybody, I was like, was the sand slipperier today? Like, it felt like it wasn't as compact, which is, it's cool whether it's sand or it's grass. There's this element of imbalance that you get to like really practice the yoga in, right? It's like the old me from like 10 years ago, probably when I, first met you in a safe, contained environment of yoga. Like, I would have had such a hard time being the yogi on the sand because I couldn't perfect the practice. And now it's just like, oh, part of that's being able to fall out and get back up.
That's right. I when I was practicing in studios, I remember like if I made even the slightest mistake in my balances, I'd be like, that wasn't a perfect class. And then I got on the sand, and then it was like happening every class. And I would like, I'm like 6'4", like 190 on a good day. And when I'm in the balance and I'm on one foot, the sand will like, and I just shift onto like the front right side of my foot, it'll dig down into the sand, and it'll totally shift my balance. And like then and like that like perfectionist side of me is like, oh dude, like don't even try, like stop, like it's okay, you don't have to be perfect. And that's cool. Like I dig that. And sometimes we get it, we really nail it, but yeah, it's just like those elements and that you don't have control over. And I think that's really what meditation and yoga is about like not or being able to let go and not feel like that obsessive need to control. And I really need that reminder, and to be able to like really relax and just not always feel like the overwhelming need to achieve and be perfect or whatever. So
and something that's never occurred to me, like right now just came up. It's like, even though so many, even your lineage is a pretty rigid lineage of like, not perfection, but maybe moving towards mastery of postures, right? Mm-hmm. But that's coming from an Eastern culture where we're already so hard on ourselves anyways, and we're so disciplined, and it's like yoga should be that place, sort of the contradiction to like our everyday world of like where we can be soft with ourselves and gentle and like and playful even, because even though we bring these beautiful roots from across time and continents, it's like we've got to really be able to find it where it's at while still honoring everything that it's sharing with us. But that discipline is sort of like, it's already so rigid here in our Western world that I think you hit it on the head of like, it's the one place that we can really be soft with ourselves.
Well, I did have some pretty good guidance in regard to perfection, or like that idea of perfection. Is my guru Yogi Hari, he said it's something you're never going to attain it. Like he just said straight up, you're never going to attain it. Like it's like the only thing that's perfect in the universe is like that which is beyond form. And in Hinduism, that's expressed as Brahman. I think a lot of other religions call it God. And so like, but if you strive for perfection, he's like, what'll happen if you get halfway? What's going to happen? What are you going to look like if you get halfway? Or like, what's the world going to look like if you strive for it? And so I think striving for it is a good idea, but then trying to possess it or being obsessive with the possession of it is like, that's the caveat or whatever. Like that's where you want to let it go, because it
and then that's where like all the 8 limbs and the sutras, which we always talk about, that's how it brings this kind of that balance back into it, I feel like. So yeah, I love that vantage point of it. So but yeah, so and part of Maxwell coming onto this too, like he's really done a good job of pushing me out of my comfort zone in a good way. Is like I said last year, he invited me to get out on the water, and there was part of me that's like, I've surfed enough, like I know what I'm doing. But that day that you and I got to go out there was just purely magical. I mean, everything couldn't have been more perfect, right? We never can predict that perfection or that, but we can find the beauty in all the spaces in between. But there was really just that moment of bliss, or ananda, as we call it in the practice. And you and I got to talk philosophy out on the water and talk about so many of these things that we both like to geek out about. But being able to bring that element of yoga while we were like, out there playing on the water in a very playful, but still very meditative practice, where I could feel what it really felt like to like find that muscle memory, was such a rad experience that you got to share with me, and you got to you get to share that with so many people, right? It's like you are a teacher of so many worlds. And when did you get into, because I guess we didn't share, Maxwell's a school teacher, but he's also a yoga teacher, and he's also a surf instructor. And so when you moved to Ventura, when did the surf instruction come into play? When did you meet Makos?
So I've been working with kids like right when I first got out of college, and I was living in Florida, and I was working in some after school programs. And then when I moved to Ventura, I started working at the Boys and Girls Club over on Johnson. Mm-hmm. And after I was in there for about a year, I think, and then I saw an ad in Craigslist to work at Silver Strand Surf School, and the original owners of that company they were looking for somebody, and I kind of fit the bill because I was a substitute teacher then, and they just really liked me and stuff, and I really liked them, and it was a pretty mellow surf program. And then Jeff Belzer bought it, and it combined with Ventura Makos. And then he just was like, yeah, I want you to work for us. And so I kind of got connected with them. And then, now Christian's the owner and stuff. But like the connecting, like the yoga, I'm still like always trying to think about how to apply yoga to any aspect of life, whether it's surfing, climbing, teaching, and I always fail at it. I'm like, it's like that. It's so the bar is set so high for like what to like be free from attachment, to expect to have like results, and like that is like the hard, like to let go of the fruits of one's actions. And like, that is like so hard. I find that to be like just such an intense challenge, but such a beautiful thing to try to attain too.
Yeah. And it's like, just, going back to the beginning conversation, it's, it's more of like that awareness that we have rather than that striving. Right. And it's like my yoga teacher always says, each day, each breath is an invitation to begin again. So once we realize like we didn't approach a conversation the way we wanted to, we didn't approach, we went in with our ego on the water that day. It's like, we always can like reflect on that without judgment for ourselves and be like, okay, let's try that different next time. Like, I see what I did there. It's like, let's shift the paradigm of how we're approaching it, and, create those new wheels of like how we want to, continue forward. So
my family just showed up.
Hey, hi.
Sweetie, I'm gonna record an interview with Jesse. Do you want to come in and like say hi or anything? Yeah. I gotta get my baby. Do you want to keep going?
Let me pause this real quick.
Okay.
Okay. So we paused the video there for a second because life happens, and this is beautiful for the balance that we were just talking about. I was chatting with Maxwell on the side. It's like he didn't even bring up the balance that he does with parenting, and so this is his beautiful daughter Mia. Hi, sweetie. She's part of the pop-up yoga family too. So, and you're gonna be going to Costa Rica with us.
Are you going to Costa Rica?
Some monkeys and some sloths. So, and this is the beautiful family environment that we love at pop-up, and really bringing everybody in to be a part of it and to learn and to just get infused with this. But I wanted to kind of go back to the stuff that you're talking about with the kids, because your journey and your dharma is like so interwoven with these teaching aspects and the kids, and really being in service in that way. And so share with us a little bit. You were just telling me, and I know from our surf meetup, the group that you and Christian are chartering right now, and what you guys are really hoping to do. And this will also be your foundation for the month that we're raising money for too. So
yeah, so I got involved with surfing with special needs people in it was around June of 2019, and I just was floored by the energy that I got from it, and that it was just like, whoa, this is such a real connection. And I just felt like when I would spend time with these, actually it might have been 2018 or 2019, I can't remember, but the energy that these kids were giving me, it felt so amazing. And there was just like no like filter there for them, and I just felt this like just this raw intense connection. And being out in the ocean, I started to experience sort of like the joy and like the exhilaration that I was giving them by taking them out in the water. And sometimes it just felt like so like they just felt so special in that moment, like it was just such a special experience. And then COVID happened, and that came to an end because they were a high risk population. And so we got it was really sad. I was really getting ready for the next season with a walk on water and this other group that I work with called Mighty Underdogs. And we didn't get to see the kids for like a year, and then things started kicking off again in 2021. And we just had our second daughter, Leela, and Christian and I were looking to do something more locally, to work with some of the kids that we really like. And we have this wave in Ventura called Mondos, and it's just this really gentle, playful wave. And it's such a special place. I've had so many summers there teaching kids to surf that we just knew we needed to do it there, because it's just the most beautiful wave. It's just so, some days there are just absolute magic. And we wanted to just share that with our people with special needs, that community. So yeah, that's why we started it.
Cool. And so it's called Ventura Scholastic Surf Team, right?
Well, it's called Makos All Stars. That's what
Makos All Stars. Okay, sorry.
Or Ventura
Makos All Stars. So yeah, so and then so this month we'll be raising funds, and Max will just tell me that Christian and you will be putting the funds specifically towards some life jackets. So it's kind of cool when not only we can have a local organization, but also knowing how vested Maxwell is with this particular audience and the work that he's done, and then actually we get to know like really where the money is going. So I was fortunate enough on a whim to like catch you and Christian out there one day around my birthday, and you were out there with two of the boys on their birthdays, and it was just, I didn't even surf that day. I just wanted to like cheerlead, and I didn't get to go this Sunday, but you guys kind of kicked things off this past weekend with a bunch of the kids. So I'd love to actually be able to share with the community some future ones that you guys have coming up as well. So hi guys. Hello, Kitty.
This is my wife, Emily, and this is our baby daughter, Leela. Here, come
Hi, Leela. Hi, Emily.
Well, she knows I'm your wife. Why are you saying that?
Well, because they're going to share this with like our community.
This is going out to everybody. So we got the whole Miller family in here. And these guys are all going to Costa Rica with us too to celebrate the magic we're going to create down there. So we've got, I don't want to keep these guys up too much longer. So I'll share some information on Costa Rica and everything, but basically what we'll be offering there is sort of an expansion of what Maxwell and I try to share in a short half-day retreat we'll be doing over 6 days down there. But what I do want to shift gears with, because he's got some more stuff he's pushing me out of my comfort zone with, is another marriage of sort of natural elements that is completely out of my comfort zone, which is climbing. And so share with them your special event that you'll be doing. I mean, we'll just real quick, we'll be doing one more, our final surf retreat for 2021 will be on the 10th. So he and I both have that going on. We'll have Costa Rica coming up in April. And then on October 30th, he has this really rad climbing event that I'm going to let him share about, because him and Heather have been creating this in the background. So
I want to swing it up.
Yes. So climbing is this really interesting hobby I got introduced to about 9 years ago. About what we've been doing it.
Why did you punch me, Lita Bear?
Did Lita punch you? So it was about 9 years ago. I got introduced to climbing. My brother was doing it, one of my other brothers, And then my father-in-law was really interested. He'd been doing climbing for like 20 or 30 years, so he was really supportive of me, and then helping out with it. And like he just really was interested in me getting better at, or us doing stuff together. And so I decided that, I started to notice the relationship that yoga and climbing had, because yoga is really like, when I was practicing it, you know, sometimes like you subtly place your foot in a position that's like very like exactly right where you want it to go, right? And that's something that in climbing it's accentuated even more, because when your movements are perfect, you can ascend these like rock walls and these features really, really efficiently. And so like that precision of movement it's so intrinsic in climbing, and it really benefited my yoga practice a lot, but my yoga practice also benefited that. So they were they helped each other a lot. And also the flexibility helps, because there's so many like
that's for sure. Yeah,
you have to go in with climbing. And so I decided I wanted to host a climbing event, and we were thinking about doing it outside, and then we couldn't find like the exact right situation with that. And then so we decided to do it at Boulderdash, and I climb at Boulderdash like 2 or 3 times a week if I can. And it's very like I think it's going to be a great place to practice yoga and climbing together, and to really sort of just introduce that practice and see if the community is really into it. And if they are, maybe we can do something and expand from there. That's kind of my hope.
Yeah.
But I think they work together, and it's a fun way to exercise too. Like I'm not super into like weightlifting and like running. I mean, I have done them and stuff, but like if I'm exercising, I want it to be fun and interesting. And like with climbing, and so like I think it's about overall fitness too, and just like staying like having this community that is outside in nature doing yoga, climbing, and surfing. And in Ventura, like this is the birthplace of Patagonia, one of the biggest like climbing companies, and it's like a surf mecca. And so like these 3 things, they come together so well in our little space here.
What are you gonna go climbing too?
He can't climb yet, but pretty soon she'll be
Not
crawling.
yet. Yeah,
We'll start off crawling.
we'll start those training wheels early. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I know, I get it. But she'll be climbing out of her crib probably pretty soon.
Well, that's the start of it, right? Yeah. And Mia went with us when we went outdoors that time with Cam and Lauren. So I love like the marriage of everything that you're bringing, and really bringing those natural elements into the yoga and sharing with the community, like how you integrate that practice that we so often associate with on the mat into the everyday world, and the practices that you have outside of the mat practice as well. So I'm really excited for us to get this up there for the community, and I have a feeling it's gonna be a quick win. And this will be a small group too, you guys. So we're only going to be able to host 10 people at this. So if you are interested, we definitely would suggest signing up sooner than later. And if we feel like you guys are really interested, then hopefully this is the continued relationship we can do, because Boulderdash already supports yoga. They're already offering programming there. So this is a beautiful marriage of a couple of local businesses as well as mindsets too. So I'm excited to build this relationship with them.
Yeah, I think the ultimate goal will be like Joshua Tree, really, because it's like I've been going down there for like 8 years, and it is magical down there. It's just wonderful, and it's the rocks like they like resonate with all this like electricity. And
you guys, Maxwell always has me scheming on something. So this is this is where the dreams happen.
It's really special place, and I just want to share that with people, because I've been going down there for a while, and sometimes I'll just show up and take random people climbing and do like some random guiding and stuff. And it's just a beautiful place that we have in SoCal, and I think it's a world-class destination for climbing. It really is. Yeah,
and spirituality too, because that's where I've spent most of my time out there. So
Exactly,
All right. Well, we're so excited for everything Maxwell has coming up in October. We'll get his teacher feature page will be ready for you guys, and you can find all the details for his foundations and his events that he has this month. And then we hope that you guys will come paddle out with us in Costa Rica in April. So we look forward to all the adventures with you guys. And all right, we're going to wrap it up. And thank you so much for sharing you and your family with us today.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Take care.